The morning sun cast long shadows across the mining colony on Kepler 4, 4 to B. Hyun-woo Kim walked slowly through the outer fence, carrying his old medical bag. The bag was heavy with bandages, medicine, and tools. He'd been a veterinarian for 15 years, but this planet still surprised him every day. Behind him, 3 alien visitors watched from the colony's main building. Had come from the Hegemony Council to check on human activities. The tall, green-skinned Talvira stood next to the bug-like Nixter. Both aliens looked worried. Humans are expanding into dangerous territory, Talvira said. Her voice was cold and sharp. Build their homes where the apex predators live. Clicked his mandibles. Foolish creatures. They will all die. Sojin Park, the colony administrator, stood beside them. She was a small woman with kind eyes. Dr. Kim knows what he's doing, she said quietly. He's been working with the local animals for 3 years. The aliens did not believe her. They had read the reports. Shadow claws were the most dangerous predators on this planet. They were as big as earth tigers, but faster and smarter. Their claws could cut through steel. Their saliva was like acid. The past year, shadow claws had killed 23 colonists. Look. Sojin pointed outside. There he is. Hyun-woo had stopped walking. About 50 meters away, a massive black shape moved in the tall grass. The shadow claw was huge, nearly 3 meters long. Its fur was dark as night, and its yellow eyes glowed in the morning light. The creature was limping badly. Dark blood stained its left hind leg. He should run, Nixchar whispered. That thing will kill him. But Hyun-woo did not run. He sat down on a rock and opened his medical bag. He pulled out a small device and pressed a button. Soft music began playing, a gentle Korean song his grandmother used to sing. The shadow claw's ears moved toward the sound, stopped growling, and tilted its head. What is he doing? Talvera asked. Her voice was full of fear. Just watch, Sojin said. Hyun-woo began to hum along with the music. He did not look directly at the shadow claw. Instead, he arranged his medical tools on the rock. Its bandages, antiseptic, surgical thread, and a small scanner. The shadow claw took a step closer, then another. Its injured legs shook with each movement. Blood dripped onto the dry ground. This is impossible, Nixtar said. Shadow claws attack anything that moves. The giant predator limped closer to Hyun-woo. When it was just 3 meters away, it stopped. The 2 creatures, human and predator, looked at each other. Hyun-woo smiled softly and held out his hand. Hello, beautiful, he said in Korean. His voice was gentle and calm. Let me see that leg. The shadow claw lowered its massive head, sniffed Hyun-woo's hand, then pressed its forehead against his palm. The aliens watching from the building gasped. How is this possible? Talvera whispered. Hyun-woo ran his fingers through the creature's thick fur. The shadow claw made a deep rumbling sound, not a growl, but something like a purr.
Ow.
It was clearly in pain, but it trusted the human completely. I know it hurts. Hyun-woo said. He pointed to the injured leg. Can you lie down for me? The shadow claw seemed to understand, carefully lowered itself to the ground, keeping its injured legs stretched out. Hyun-woo moved closer and began examining the wound. Infection, he said to himself. Pretty bad, but not too deep. He pulled out his scanner and ran it over the wound. The device beeped softly. The shadow claw's ears flicked at the sound, but it did not move away. This will sting a little, Hyun-woo warned. He opened a bottle of antiseptic and poured it onto a cloth. But it will help you heal. He gently cleaned the wound. The shadow claw's muscles tensed, but it did not pull away. Instead, it turned its head to watch Hyun-woo work. Its yellow eyes were calm and trusting. The aliens could not believe what they were seeing. On all their years of studying different species, they had never seen anything like this. Apex predators did not trust other creatures. They killed or were killed. There was no middle ground. He must be using some kind of mind control, Talvera said. Or chemical manipulation, Nixchar added. Pheromones, perhaps. Sojin shook her head. No chemicals. No mind control. Dr. Kim is just good with animals. Hyun-woo had finished cleaning the wound. Now, He was carefully removing dead tissue with small surgical tools. The shadow claw remained perfectly still. Once, when Heian Wu had to cut deeper, the creature made a small whining sound. Heian Wu immediately stopped. "Sorry," he said softly. "I know it hurts. We're almost done." He stroked the creature's head until it relaxed again. Then he continued his work. The infection was worse than he had thought. The wound was deep and full of bacteria from the planet's soil. "This might take a while," he said to the shadow claw. "But you're being very brave." The creature seemed to understand. It rested its head on its front paws and closed its eyes. Its breathing was slow and steady. As Heian Wu worked, something amazing happened. 2 more shadow claws appeared at the edge of the clearing. They were smaller than the injured one, probably its offspring. They sat down about 20 meters away and watched quietly. "There are more of them," Nixjar said. His voice was full of terror. "They're not attacking," Sojin pointed out. "They're just watching." The young shadow claws made no move to come closer. They seemed to know that their parent was being helped. They waited patiently, their yellow eyes never leaving Heian Wu. After an hour, Heian Wu finished his work. He had cleaned the wound completely and sewn it closed with special thread. Then he wrapped the leg in clean bandages and gave the shadow claw a shot of antibiotics. "There," he said, patting the creature's head. "You should feel better in a few days, but take it easy on that leg." The shadow claw stood up slowly and tested its weight on the injured leg. It was still sore, but much better. The creature turned to Heian Wu and did something that made the aliens gasp again. It licked his face. The gesture was gentle and affectionate, like a giant cat thanking its friend. Heian Wu laughed and scratched behind the creature's ears. "You're welcome," he said. "Come back if it gets worse." The shadow claw called to its offspring with a low rumble. The 3 creatures moved slowly back into the tall grass, but the injured one turned back once to look at Heian Wu. Its yellow eyes seemed to say thank you. As they disappeared into the grass, Heian Wu packed up his medical bag. He walked back toward the colony, humming the same gentle song he'd know. The idea that his simple act of kindness had just changed the aliens' understanding of humanity forever. The 3 watchers in the building stood in stunned silence. What they had witnessed should have been impossible, yet they had seen it with their own eyes. "What kind of creatures are these humans?" Talvira whispered. None of them had an answer, but they knew they had to find out. The next morning, a new alien arrived at the colony. Veltharion was much older than the others. His purple skin was marked with scars from many battles. He had come from the Hegemony Council's main office to investigate the human weapon that Talvira had reported. "Show me this human," Veltharion demanded. His voice was deep and commanding. Sojin led the 3 aliens to the colony's medical center. It was a small building with white walls and bright lights. Inside, they found Heian Wu working at his desk. He was writing notes about the shadow claw's injury. Dr. Kim Sojin said softly, "These visitors want to ask you some questions." Looked up and smiled, of course. "How can I help you?" Veltharion stepped forward. "We want to know about your abilities with the dangerous creatures on this planet." "Abilities?" Heian Wu looked confused. "I'm just a veterinarian. I help sick animals." "The shadow claw yesterday," Talvira said. "It should have killed you. Instead, it let you touch it." "How did you control its mind?" Heian Wu laughed. "Control its mind?" "I didn't control anything. The poor creature was hurt. I helped it feel better." "Impossible," Nixjar clicked. "Shadow claws are apex predators. They cannot be tamed." "I didn't tame it," Heian Wu said. "I just treated its wound. Animals remember kindness, even dangerous ones." The aliens looked at each other. They did not believe him. There had to be some trick, some human technology they didn't understand. "Can you show us more of these ... treatments?" Veltharion asked. Heian Wu nodded. "Sure, I was planning to check on some other patients today. You can come along if you want." An hour later, the group walked through the colony's outer areas. Heian Wu carried his medical bag and a small cooler filled with food. The aliens stayed close together, ready to run if danger appeared. Their Haiyan-Wu pointed to a large cave in the rocky hillside. That's where the Razorwings live. The aliens stopped walking. Razorwings were flying predators with wings like sharp knives. They could cut a person in half with one swoop. The cave was their nesting ground. You go in there? Talvera asked. Sometimes, Haiyan-Wu said, when they need help. He walked to the cave entrance and made a high whistling sound. The noise echoed off the rocks. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a huge shadow moved inside the cave. A Razorwing emerged into the sunlight. It was beautiful and terrible. Its wingspan was 6 meters across. Its wings looked like metal blades that caught the light. Its beak was sharp enough to pierce armor. The aliens prepared to run, but the Razorwing landed gently near Haiyan-Wu. It folded its wings and made a soft chirping sound. "Hello, Storm," Haiyan-Wu said. He reached into his cooler and pulled out a large fish. "How's your wing today?" The Razorwing extended its left wing. Haiyan-Wu examined it carefully. There was a small bandage near the joint. "Much better," he said. "The infection is gone. You can fly long distances again." He removed the bandage and threw the fish into the air. Storm caught it with perfect precision and swallowed it in one bite. Then the creature did something that made the aliens gasp. It nuzzled Haiyan-Wu's shoulder with its sharp beak. The gesture was gentle, like a bird showing affection. Haiyan-Wu scratched under Storm's chin. "You're welcome," he said. "Stay safe out there." Storm made a happy chirping sound and flew back into the cave. As it disappeared, 2 more Razorwings appeared at the cave entrance. They watched the group with curious eyes, but they did not attack. "Many of them are there?" Valtharion asked. "In that cave?" "About 20, Haiyan-Wu said. "I've helped most of them at some point." The aliens could not speak. 20 Razorwings could destroy a small army. Yet they seemed to obey this one human. "There's more," Haiyan-Wu said. "Follow me." He led them to a deep hole in the ground. It was perfectly round, about 5 meters across. The hole went down so far that they could not see the bottom. "This is where the tunneler lives," Haiyan-Wu explained. "She's probably sleeping right now." Knelt by the hole and tapped on the ground with a metal rod. The sound echoed down into the darkness. After a few moments, they heard something moving far below. "What is a tunneler?" Nixjar asked. "Big underground predator," Haiyan-Wu said. "About the size of a small building. Very hard shell, like diamond. Sharp claws for digging." Something was climbing up from the depths. The aliens could hear scraping sounds against the rock walls. They stepped back from the hole. "Don't worry," Haiyan-Wu said. "Ruby's friendly." A massive claw appeared at the edge of the hole. It was as long as a human arm and looked like it was made of black metal. Then another claw appeared, and another. The creature that emerged was beyond the aliens' worst nightmares. Ruby the tunneler was huge, at least 8 meters long. Her shell was indeed like diamond, dark and glittering. Her 8 eyes were the size of dinner plates. Her mouth was full of teeth that could crush rocks. But when she saw Haiyan-Wu, something amazing happened. The terrifying creature made a sound like a happy cat purring. She lowered her massive head until it was level with Haiyan-Wu's face. "Hello, beautiful girl," Haiyan-Wu said. He patted her head like she was a pet dog. "How are you feeling?" Ruby's purring got louder. She gently touched Haiyan-Wu's shoulder with one claw. The gesture was careful and loving. "I brought you a present," Haiyan-Wu said. He pulled a large metal cylinder from his bag. "Pure iron, your favorite." Ruby took the cylinder in her mouth and crunched it like candy. The sound of breaking metal echoed across the landscape. When she finished eating, she nuzzled Haiyan-Wu again. "Good girl," he said. "I'll see you next week." Ruby disappeared back into her hole. The scraping sounds faded until there was silence. The aliens stood frozen. They had just watched a human show affection to 3 of the most dangerous predators. On the planet, all 3 creatures had acted like tame pets. "This is impossible," Valtharion whispered. "How do you do it?" Talvera demanded. "What technology are you using?" Haiyan-Wu looked confused again. "No technology. I just help them when they're hurt or sick." "Animals remember kindness, but they're killers," Nixture said. "Apex predators don't form bonds with other species. These ones do," Haiyan-Wu said simply. Maybe your apex predators are different. As they walked back to the colony, the aliens' minds were racing. They had seen impossible things. Creatures that should kill humans were instead protecting them. It had to be some kind of weapon, some way to control minds or change behavior. We need to interview the other colonists, Veltharion said quietly. Find out how widespread this is. That afternoon they spoke to many people. Bong Su Lee, the security chief, told them about the time storm, and her flock had driven off raiders trying to attack the colony. Dr. Kim didn't order them to help, Bong Su said. They just did it. It's like they were protecting their family. Haewon Choi, the marine biologist, showed them her research notes. It shouldn't be possible, she admitted. These creatures have brain structures that don't allow for complex emotional bonding, yet somehow they've bonded with Dr. Kim. Others? Veltharion asked. His assistant Jinho is learning to work with them too. It's like they can sense who's a friend and who's not. The aliens grew more worried with each interview. If humans could turn apex predators into loyal companions, what would stop them from conquering the galaxy? That night they sent an urgent message to the Hegemony Council. Human weapon capabilities beyond our understanding. Recommend immediate military assessment. They had no idea that they were completely wrong about what they had witnessed. The truth was far more amazing than any weapon. 3 days later, another alien ship landed at the colony. This time, it was Kethmorin, a military strategist from the Hegemony Council. He was tall and wore dark armor covered in battle scars. His forearms moved restlessly as he studied the human settlement. Show me these human weapons, he demanded. Veltharion led him to the observation deck. They're not weapons in the traditional sense, he explained. The humans have somehow turned apex predators into loyal soldiers. Impossible, Kethmorin said. No species can control apex predators.
Why to get for ad riders? I don't want to. Why to why I it's like
Was walking across the colony yard with Jinho Park, his young assistant. Ginho was 23 years old and had been learning from Hoyanwu for 2 years. Carried a smaller medical bag and looked nervous. Today, you'll work with the Razor Wings alone, Hyenwu told him. You ready? Are you sure? Jinho asked. What if they don't listen to me? They will, Hyenwu smiled. You've helped them before. They know you're a friend. The aliens watched as Jinho walked to the cave alone. He made the same whistling sound Hyenwu had used. A moment later, Storm emerged from the cave. The giant Razorwing looked at Jinho and made a soft, chirping sound. Hello, Storm, Jinho said. His voice shook a little. I need to check your wing. Storm extended her wing, just as she had done for Hyenwu. Ginho examined it carefully and nodded. It's healed perfectly, he said. You can fly as far as you want now. He threw a fish into the air. Storm caught it and then gently touched Jinho's shoulder with her beak. The young man smiled and patted her head. More humans can do this, Kethmorin observed. This is definitely a military program. We need to contact other human colonies, Veltharion said. Find out how widespread this weapon is. That afternoon, they sent messages to human settlements on 12 different planets. The responses came back quickly, and each one made the aliens more afraid. From Kepler 186F, Dr. Suman has trained the local bears to help with mining operations. They're very gentle with humans, but deadly to anyone who threatens the colony. From Proxima Centauri B, The flame lizards work with Dr. Tejo to maintain the geothermal generators. They seem to understand complex instructions, from Trappist 1E. Dr. Yunyung has a whole pack of crystal wolves that patrol our borders. I've never heard a colonist, but they've driven off several pirate attacks. Every colony has these. Beastmasters, Kethmorin said. This is clearly a coordinated effort. The aliens decided to confront Sojin directly. They found her in the colony's main office reviewing supply reports. We know what you're doing, Veltharion said. You're building an army of apex predators. Sojin looked up from her papers. I'm sorry, what? Don't pretend, Talvira said. We've seen the evidence. Humans on every world are controlling dangerous creatures. Controlling, Sojin laughed. Nobody controls them. Dr. Kim and the others just help sick animals. It's what veterinarians do. Veterinarians? Kethmorin's forearms moved in confusion. What is this word? Animal doctors, Sojin explained. They heal sick creatures and help them feel better. Why would anyone help a predator? Nick Shar asked. Because it's the right thing to do, Sojin said simply. Animals suffer just like people do. Dr. Kim can't stand to see anything in pain. How the aliens looked at each other. This made no sense. In their cultures, strength meant dominance. You either killed your enemies or made them submit. The idea of helping a dangerous creature was completely foreign to them. But they obey him, Veltharion insisted. They follow his commands. They don't obey, Sojin said. They're grateful. That's the difference. Before the aliens could argue more, alarms began ringing throughout the colony. The ground shook violently. Books fell from shelves, and the lights flickered. Earthquake, someone shouted. The shaking got worse. Through the windows, they could see colonists running for safety. Buildings swayed dangerously. A water tower collapsed with a loud crash. Everyone to the emergency shelters. Bong Su-Li's voice came over the speakers. But then something amazing happened. The aliens watched in shock as Haiyan-Wu's creatures appeared from all directions. Storm and her flock of razorwings flew overhead. They dove down to grab people who were trapped under fallen debris. Their sharp wings cut through metal and wood. To free the trapped colonists, Ruby the Tunneler burst from her hole. She used her massive claws to dig through collapsed buildings. Her diamond-hard shell protected her from falling rocks. She created escape tunnels for people who couldn't reach. The surface, the injured Shadowclaw from the first day appeared with its 2 offspring. They worked together to guide lost colonists to safety. Their keen senses helped them find people in the smoke and dust. This is incredible, Talvera whispered. The earthquake lasted for 10 minutes. When it finally stopped, the aliens expected to see destruction and death. Instead, they saw something impossible. All the colonists were alive. The creatures had saved every single person. They had worked together like a perfectly trained rescue team. How did they know what to do? Kethmorin asked. They didn't need to be told, Sojin said. She was helping treat injured colonists. They saw people in danger and helped. That's what friends do. Haiyan-Wu was treating a colonist with a broken arm. Storm landed beside him and made worried chirping sounds. The Razorwing had a small cut on her wing from flying through debris. You're hurt, Haiyan-Wu said gently. Let me fix that. He quickly bandaged Storm's wing while still holding the injured colonist steady. Storm chirped softly and nuzzled his cheek.
Thank you.
Thank you for helping, he whispered to her. You saved so many people. The aliens watched this interaction with growing confusion. The human was thanking the creature. It's not commanding it or rewarding it, but showing genuine gratitude and concern. This is a military drill, Kethmorin said, but his voice was uncertain. Ri Song, the communications officer, overheard him. This is just what they do. They help because they care about us. As the rescue efforts continued, the aliens saw more amazing things. Jinho was working with a young Razorwing to search for missing supplies. Creature seemed to understand exactly what was needed. Ruby had created a new well to replace the damaged water system. She did this without being asked, simply because she saw that the humans needed water. The Shadowclaw family was patrolling the colony's edges, making sure no dangerous predators took advantage of the chaos to attack the weakened settlement. They're protecting the colony, Veltharion realized. Of course they are, Sojin said. This is their home too. That night, the aliens held an emergency meeting. They'd expected to see weapons and military tactics. Instead, they had witnessed something they had no words for. The creatures acted on their own, Talvera said. Nobody commanded them. They seemed to care about human safety, Nixter added. Impossible, Kethmorin said. Apex predators don't care about other species, but what if they do? Veltharion asked quietly. What if humans have discovered something we don't understand? The aliens sent another message to the Hegemony Council. Human weapons show independent thinking and protective behavior. Recommend immediate military intervention before they become too powerful. They were still thinking in terms of weapons and military threats. The truth was far more beautiful and terrifying than any weapon. The humans had not created soldiers from apex predators. They had created a family. 2 weeks after the earthquake, a new alien arrived at the colony. Zargethis was different from the others. She was a xenobiologist, a scientist who studied how different species behaved. Her blue skin was marked with silver patterns, and her large eyes missed nothing. I have come to study these human weapons, she told the other aliens. Finally, Kethmorin said, someone who can explain their technology, but Zargethis was more careful than the others. She spent her first day just watching. She sat quietly in the observation area and took notes about everything she saw. She watched Hyanwu treat a sick razor-winged chick. The baby bird was too young to fly, and its wing was broken. Hanwu worked very gently, his hands steady and sure. The chick made small peeping sounds, and Hanwu answered with soft humming. Interesting, Zargethis said to herself. Humans show stress patterns when the creature is in pain. She also watched Jinho working with Ruby the tunneler. The young man was teaching her to dig drainage ditches for the colony. But something caught Zargethis' attention. Jinho was not giving orders. He was asking, Ruby, could you dig here? Jinho pointed to a spot. It would really help us. Ruby looked at the spot, then at Jinho. She made her happy purring sound and began to dig. But she chose a slightly different location, one that would work better for drainage. She's not obeying, Zargethis realized. She's cooperating. The next day, Donghae Kim arrived at the colony. He was Hyanwu's younger brother and also a veterinarian. He had come to help with the animals injured during the earthquake. Zargethis watched the brothers work together. They treated a shadow claw. With a hurt paw, 2 razor wings with damaged wings, and several smaller creatures. But what amazed her was how they talked to each other. The big shadow claw seemed sad, Donghae said. Not just hurt, sad. Yes, Hyanwu agreed. Her mate died in the earthquake. She's been alone for 2 weeks. Maybe we should introduce her to the male from the Eastern Territory. He lost his mate last year. Good idea. But we should let them meet naturally. No forcing. Zargethis made more notes. The humans were worried about the animals' emotions. They cared about their happiness, not just their usefulness. That afternoon, Myungli arrived from the main human settlement. She was a child psychologist, but she also studied how humans bonded with animals. She had come to help Jinho with a problem. I can't connect with the young tunneler, Jinho told her. She won't trust me like the others do. Myung watched Jinho try to approach the young tunneler. The creature was about the size of a car and very shy. Every time Jinho got close, she would back away. You're trying too hard, Myung said. Let her come to you. But how? Sit down. Don't look at her directly. Just be patient. Jinho sat. On the ground about 10 meters from the young tunneler, he looked at the sky and hummed quietly. The creature watched him with her large eyes. Zargethis observed this for 3 hours. Slowly, very slowly, the young tunneler moved closer to Jinho. First 8 meters, then 6, then 4. Finally, she reached out with one small claw and gently touched his shoulder. There Myung smiled. She's decided you're safe. How did you know that would work? Jinho asked. It's the same with human children, Myung explained. Trust can't be forced. It has to be earned through patience and kindness. Zargethis felt something click in her mind. She was beginning to understand. That evening, she found Hyenwu in his medical center. He was working late, reading about shadow claw diseases on his computer. "Dr. Kim," she said, "may I ask you some questions?" Of course, Hyenwu looked up. "What would you like to know? Why do you help dangerous creatures? My species, we would kill anything that could hurt us." Hyenwu thought for a moment. "Because they're not really dangerous to me. They know I'm trying to help them."
Ow!
"But how do they know?" "Animals are very good at reading intentions," Hyenwu said. "They can sense fear, anger, love, kindness. You approach them with genuine care. Most animals will trust you. Most. Well, some animals are too wild or too scared. But even then, if you're patient and gentle, sometimes you can help them." Zargethis made more notes. "The other aliens think you are controlling their minds." Hyenwu laughed. "Wish I could control minds. It would make my job much easier." "No, I can't control anything. I can only offer help and hope they accept it." "Stop. They follow you. They protect your colony." "They don't follow me," Hyenwu said. "We're friends. Friends help each other. Friends." This was a new concept for Zargethis. In alien cultures, relationships were about power. Stronger creatures ruled weaker ones. But this human was talking about something else. Double quotes. "Yes, friends. I help them when they're hurt. They help me in the colony when we need it. Nobody forces anybody. We all choose to help because we care about each other." The next morning, something happened that changed everything. The original Shadow Claw, the one Hyenwu had first treated, became very sick. She was lying in the grass near the colony, breathing heavily. Her cub sat nearby, making worried sounds. Hyenwu rushed to help her. He ran tests and checked her temperature. His face grew worried. "It's poison," he told Dongan. "Shh. Something toxic. I'm not sure I can save her." For the next 6 hours, the brothers worked desperately to help the dying Shadow Claw. They gave her medicine, pumped her stomach, and tried everything they knew. The aliens watched from a distance. They expected to see cold scientific work. Instead, they saw something very different. Hyenwu was crying. Tears ran down his face. As he worked, his hand shook when he gave the Shadow Claw injections. When her breathing got worse, he sat beside her and stroked her head. "Please don't die," he whispered. "Your cubs need you." The Shadow Claw's offspring had not left their mothers. Sighed. They lay pressed against her, making soft sounds. Storm and several other razor wings perched nearby. Even Ruby had come up from her tunnel to watch. "They're all worried," Zargethis realized. "Creatures are worried about each other." As the day went on, more animals gathered. Shadow Claws, razor wings, tunnelers, and smaller creatures formed. A quiet circle around the sick animal. They didn't make noise. They just waited and watched. "This is not military behavior," Zargethis told the other aliens. "This is emotional behavior." "What do you mean?" Veltharion asked. "They care about each other?" "The humans care about the creatures, and the creatures care about the humans, and they all care about each other." "Impossible," Kethmorin said. "Apex predators don't have emotions." At them, Zargethis pointed. "Tell me those creatures aren't feeling emotions." At sunset, the Shadow Claw began to recover. The medicine was working. Her breathing became easier, and her temperature dropped. Hyenwu smiled through his tears. "She's going to be okay," he announced. All the gathered creatures seemed to understand. Razor wings chirped happily. The tunnelers made their purring sounds. The other Shadow Claws nuzzled their recovering friend. But the most amazing thing happened when the sick Shadow Claw opened her eyes. She looked directly at Hyenwu and made a sound none of them had heard before. It was soft and grateful, a sound of pure love. Hyenwu broke down completely. Out. He put his arms around the giant predator's neck and sobbed with relief. The Shadow Claw gently licked his face, comforting him just as he had comforted her. "Taita." Stars, Zargethis whispered. "They love each other." For the first time, the aliens began to understand what they had really been seeing. This was not about weapons or military power. This was about something their species had never experienced. This was about love. The next morning, Zargethis called an emergency meeting with the other aliens. They gathered in the colony's conference room, away from human ears. "We have been wrong about everything," she announced. "What do you mean?" Veltharion asked. "The Humans are not building weapons. You're building something far more powerful. They are building families. Kethmorin's forearms moved angrily. Families? That is ridiculous. You cannot make a family with apex predators. Watch this. Zargethis showed them a video she had recorded. It was from the day before, when the Shadowclaw was sick. Look at the human's face when he thinks the creature might die. The aliens watched Hyenwu crying as he worked to save the Shadowclaw. They saw his hands shake with fear and worry. They saw him collapse with relief when the creature recovered. This is not the behavior of someone using a weapon, Zargethis said. This is the behavior of someone who loves deeply. Love. Talvera repeated the word like it was foreign. Between different species. Yes, and look at this. Zargethis showed another video. Watch how the creatures react when they think their friend might die. The aliens saw the Razorwings, Tunnelers, and other Shadowclaws gathering around the sick animal. They watched them wait quietly, showing what could only be called worry and concern. They care about each other, Nikshar said slowly. In all of them, exactly, Zargethis said. This is not about control or dominance. This is about connection, emotional connection. But how is this possible? Iltharion asked. Our scientists say that different species cannot form emotional bonds. Maybe our scientists are wrong, Zargethis said quietly. Maybe we have been missing something important for thousands of years. That afternoon, Zargethis made a request that surprised everyone. She asked Hyenwu to teach her how to approach one of the smaller, gentler creatures on the planet. I want to understand, she told him. I want to learn what you do. Hyenwu was happy to help. He led her to a field where small, rabbit-like creatures called softpaws lived. They were harmless animals with big eyes and fluffy fur. Start by sitting down, Hyenwu said. Make yourself smaller and less threatening. Zargethis sat in the grass. The softpaws watched her with curious eyes, but kept their distance. Now just wait, Hyenwu said. Let them decide if they want to come closer. How long will this take? Zargethis asked. Maybe minutes? Maybe hours? You cannot force trust. It has to be given freely. For the first hour, nothing happened. The soft paws stayed far away. Zargethis began to feel frustrated. In her culture, if you wanted something, you took it by force. This is not working, she said. Patience, Hyenwu reminded her. Think about how the creature feels. You are much bigger than it. Your skin is a different color. You smell strange. It needs time to understand that you are safe. Tried to imagine being a small creature facing a giant alien. She would be scared too. She took deep breaths and tried to relax. Slowly, very slowly, one brave soft paw began to move closer. It took tiny steps, ready to run at any moment.
Zargethis
held perfectly still, the little creature came within 2 meters, then 1 meter. Finally, it stretched out its small nose and sniffed Zargethis's hand. Don't move, Hyenwu whispered. Let it explore. The soft paw sniffed her hand, then her arm. It seemed to decide she was safe. Very gently, it touched her finger with its nose. Something amazing happened. Zargethis felt a warm feeling in her chest. It was unlike anything she had ever experienced. The little creature trusted her. It had chosen to be near her. It likes me, she whispered, afraid to speak too loudly. Yes, Hyenwu smiled. You've just made your first interspecies friend. More softpaws began to approach. They surrounded Zargethis, sniffing and exploring. One even climbed onto her lap and curled up like a cat. This feeling, Zargethis said. Softly. What is it called? Joy, Hyenwu said. Pure joy. That's what it feels like when another creature trusts you completely. For the next 2 hours, Zargethis sat with the softpaws. She felt their warm bodies against her skin. She heard their soft purring sounds. For the first time in her life, she understood what humans meant by love. When they finally returned to the colony, Zargethis was a changed alien. She walked differently, spoke differently. The other aliens noticed immediately. What happened to you, Talvera asked. I learned. Something incredible, Zargethis said. I learned that connection is more powerful than control. That evening, she sent a very different message to the Hegemony Council. Human capabilities misunderstood. They possess no weapons. Instead, they have discovered the power of interspecies emotional bonding. Recommend immediate peaceful contact. In cultural exchange, humans may hold the key to ending conflicts throughout the galaxy. But the other aliens were not ready to accept this new understanding. Kethmorin was especially resistant. He had been corrupted by human influence. He told Zargethis, "These creatures are dangerous. They could turn against us at any moment." "No," Zargethis said firmly. "They could not. Love does not work that way. When you truly love someone, you cannot hurt them." "Love is weakness," Kethmorin declared. Zargethis challenged him. "The humans have survived on worlds that killed our greatest warriors. They have turned apex predators into allies. They have built communities that last for generations. How is that weakness?" Over the next few days, the other aliens watched more carefully. They began to see things they had missed before. They saw Ginho teaching alien children how to approach the gentler creatures safely. Young humans learned patience and kindness just as naturally as they learned to walk. They saw Sojin making decisions that put the welfare of animals before profit. When a mining project would disturb a tunnel or nest, she changed the entire plan to avoid harming the creatures. They saw Dong Haiyan working late into the night to save an injured bird, even though it was not dangerous or important to the colony. Do this because they choose to, Talvera realized. Not because they have to. They choose to be kind. Slowly, one by one, the aliens began to understand. Nixar tried sitting with the soft paws and felt the same joy Zargethis had experienced. Talvera learned to approach the young Razorwings without fear. Even Veltharion, the old military commander, found himself moved when he watched Haiyan Wu sing to a sick animal. Only Kethmorin refused to accept the new reality. He left the colony in anger, still convinced that humans were preparing for war, but the others stayed. They wrote new reports to the Hegemony Council. Reports about a species that had discovered something amazing, the power to connect across the boundaries of evolution itself. 6 months later, the first official peace delegation arrived from the Hegemony Council. They came not to investigate weapons, but to learn about love. Haiyan Wu was surprised to find himself appointed as Earth's first ambassador of interspecies relations. He accepted the position on one condition. He could continue his work as a veterinarian. After all, he told the council, healing is what brought us together in the first place. As the years passed, humans taught their new alien friends about empathy, compassion, and emotional bonding. In return, the aliens shared their advanced technology and knowledge of the galaxy. Wars that had raged for centuries began to end. Species that had been enemies for thousands of years learned to work together. The galaxy became a more peaceful place, and it all started because one human veterinarian saw a wounded creature and chose to help instead of hurt. Sometimes the greatest revolutions begin with the smallest acts of kindness. In the end, the aliens learned that humans' greatest strength was not their technology or their weapons. It was their infinite capacity to love, even creatures that should have been there. Enemies, that love changed everything.